Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. It's Wendy here from Little Nest Crafts. This is the first time I've made a video for probably 3 weeks. Yeah, it must be about 3 weeks, so I do apologise for that, but I've been busy behind the scenes. I completed a journal which is now in my Ko-fi shop, and if any of you are interested, it's a sewing themed journal, and yeah, it's listed over in my Ko-fi shop. And I've also been making a few other little things behind the scenes to go in my coffee shop, but I will do a separate video on those at a later date. So the video this evening is to announce, for those of you who don't know already, that Suzanne over at Non-Stop Papercrafts has brought out a beautiful kit called So Pink. So as you can see, it's very pink, very girly, but it's quite unusual as well, in the fact that it's got blacks in it as well. So it's got a grungy feel to it as well, and yeah, it's a great little kit. It consists of 36 pages, as you can see on here, and that includes ephemera and all your journal pages and tags, and there's even a little folio within the kit. So what I'll do, I'll quickly show you a few of the pages, and I will say that this kit is on offer at the moment over in Suzanne's Ko-fi shop, and she's going to be bringing out kits every couple of months instead of every month as she normally did, because she's working full-time, and yeah, even the best of us, you know, will struggle to bring out kit after kit after kit, as well as work full-time and have a family, and all that entails as well. So we're grateful for anything that she produces, because she makes some really lovely digitals. So I'll quickly show you a few of the pages. I haven't printed any of the journal itself, you know, the pages for the journal itself. These are all background pages and ephemera pages, because I'm going to be using some of these to do the little project that I plan on doing this evening. So you've got some bigger florals, and they're super duper really lovely. And then you've got this lovely, it looks like ink on water, you know, it's smoky pink, and yeah, I do particularly like that one. And then you've got assorted pockets with laces, with florals, with vintage backgrounds, sewing themed bits and bobs there, and you've got some patterned things there as well. Sewing machine there, look, with a lovely girl. And then here's the ephemera. You've got buttons and all sorts on there, envelopes, some tags, and you've got some larger tags, and look at that beautiful image there, great. And here you've got some larger pockets, and you've got a slotted pocket there as well. That's a bit like the Tim Holtz die cut there that we like so well. And here you've got some envelopes and some tabs, lots of words all to do with sewing themes there, florals, and then you've got thimbles and embroidery, scissors, etc. Here's a backing page that's taken from a pattern. Great, I love that. And then you've got some lacy pages there. That looks like a crocheted lace, really intricate there, and some buttons. Some more large pockets and deep pockets, and then some extra bits to put words and things on. And here you've got some snippets and tags, and then you've got a button card there. So that's most of the ephemera. There are a few things I've left out, I think, and as I say, I haven't printed any of the journal pages. And what I thought I would do was make a journal pouch to put a journal inside. So I decided that I was going to work on which pieces. I'm going to have that page because I'm hoping that I'll be able to use that as a pocket maybe inside the pouch or somewhere on the pouch. And then I liked this page with the smaller print, although I like that one as well. And then I thought I would use, there are some more background pages with like spools and things on and sewing machines, but I haven't printed them off at this moment. What I thought I would do was use either those or that, so I'm going to move those out the way for now to one side, and I think we'll make a choice. Now I'm going to make a really simple pocket to put a journal in, and you can either do it with your A4 sheet, and my printer printed, I didn't put the setting on for borderless printing because on this sheet I quite liked having the white edges to be included in the design. So to do a really simple pocket, you can keep that in as one piece and use that as your flap and glue your sides down. But I wanted to make my pocket have a bit of depth to it so that we can put plenty of bits and bobs in. So this is just a normal A4 sheet, so you use whatever size pocket that you want to make for your journal. And I'm not going to be doing any sewing on this to make it really, really simple, because you can sew the edges down if you wish. So I think for this actual pocket I might make two. We'll start off easy, and I'm not going to crease that down just yet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some paper to put inside the two edges here to bulk it out, and I'm going to do an extra score line at the bottom with my ruler just to give it a bit more depth. So really straightforward so far, no measuring, just use what you've got with your sheet. And I ruined my ruler, brand new ruler, and I was trying to clean the glue off it with some acetone, and it made all the plastic go cloudy. So what a numpty I am. So yeah, so what I'm going to do now is just do another score line, and I'm eyeballing it. I'm not going to measure it. It's probably about 1/4 inch maybe, and I'm going to use my scoring tool and just go down like that, and then bring this up, put my finger down the back, and then fold it along that score line. And it's just to give it a little bit more room inside the base. That's probably not even 1/4 inch looking at it, but it'll be fine. It just, I mean, it might be just a little pouch that you want to put your ephemera in, and then we'll have this come in over the top, and I'm going to make 2 little buttons to have like a policy closure on, and then these, you could actually add these inside as your 2 pockets. Now I think I might do that in this one, so what I'm going to do is cut these 2 pockets out to use when we come to put our gusset in the sides of that. So I'll just put you on pause 1 minute because you don't want to watch me cutting out paper. I'll be right back. Right, I've cut out these 2 sections here, and they might not be quite wide enough actually, depending on how wide I make the gussets for the inside there. So I'm just going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to use this to make my second pouch. So I'm just debating how deep I want it, and I think just eyeballing it, it'll be about there. So I'm going to crease along there, and that's for those of you who want measurements. I've actually put the score line at roughly 12 centimetres, and I'm going to cut this top piece off. So I'll just get my guillotine. So these will make 2 nice little pockets to put your, maybe your needles, your sewing, some of your sewing threads for a little project. And then that I'm going to use for possibly making the little round closure to go on the top. I'll see. Not quite decided. So I'll put that to one side, and then this is going to be my base here. So we'll be gluing that onto there and bringing this, sorry, you perhaps can't see. So what I've done is I've cut it, scored it at 12 centimetres, like so. 12 centimetres there, scored it, and cut this top section off. Pop that to one side, and then I'm going to use this to make my flap. That's going to come over the top, and we want it to be double strength, this journal, this pocket. So what I'm going to do is glue it along here, and then I want to put another piece inside here. So I'm just going to go to look through the papers on the rest of the kit so that I can back this piece, because these need to be double thickness card to give it longevity. And there is a lacy interior, I think, somewhere. So I'll just have a look and I'll be right back. So what I've done, everybody, this is also a backing sheet in the kit, and I'm going to use these as my interior pieces for this little folio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this onto there and cut it off so it's the same as that. And what I would do before you do your score lines, I should have thought about this before, you know, when I first started, to glue them together before you start cutting out and you know, scoring your lines and things. But it doesn't matter, we'll cope. So I'm just going to go away, and all I'm going to use is some glue stick around the middles, and then I'm going to go reinforce the edges by using some tacky glue. So I'll just put you on pause again for a second or two. Right, so what I've done is I've lined that piece with this lacy piece here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece, fold it in half, and I'm going to use this for the other part of the cover, and we'll, I'll do it this way to get along that crease there. There we are. Put that to one side because that won't get wasted, it'll get used in a moment. And then what I'm going to do is pop that onto the back of there, like so. So we'll do that with some, I'm going to do it with some Beacon 3-in-1. Put my lid on quick to stop it all puddling out. Excuse me a minute. And then we'll glue that onto here. Making sure it's straight. And don't worry about the join here because we can put some lace on that. And I'd love to have some black lace, but I haven't bought any. So what we'll do now is open this flap. Just get the excess glue off there, where it puddled out a bit quick. There we are. And then with this piece, I'm going to glue that onto there. Now it would be nice to match up the pattern, but it's a bit off kilter unless I turn it that way. Let's have a look. Now that might work. If I come down a bit lower, how does that affect the inside? Let me just see how far it comes down. Yeah, that would be, I think that would work. So we'll glue that. So let's have a look. How far do I need to come down? I'm going to trim that edge off there first. Just get that little white bit off so that the pattern matches up a bit more evenly. And there we are, perfect. Lovely. So what I'm going to do now is glue underneath here, just along this bit, onto the white bit there. There we are. And then we'll match up those two pieces again. Perfect. Lovely. Just get the sticky bits off. A little bit more there. And then I'm going to just fold this back and put some glue all in here up to about there. And then you just go along the edges here and the top. Plenty of glue, because we want it to last. There we go. And it has slid a little bit, so we'll just pull that over. There we go. A little bit more. There we are. And then what I'm going to do is cut this excess off just with my scissors. I'm still keeping that little white edge. That can go to one side because we can use that as well. And then I'm just going to trim any unevenness along this edge here where it's not quite perfect. There we go. So let's have a look now. And there is our little journal pouch or sewing pouch, whatever you may want it to be. So I'm just going to be careful because there is some glue oozing out. So I hope you're enjoying the weather. It's been glorious here in the UK for the past couple of weeks, and raging temperatures of, for us anyway, 30 degrees and above, and so everybody's complaining now of the heat and wishing it was a bit cooler. So I'm not going to crease that at the moment, and I just need to make my inside pieces now to go as my little gussets here. So I think what I'm going to do is, let's have a look, because I need for this set as well. So would they work that way? Yeah, I think if I fold this in half and cut down the middle, and then cut these both in half. So let's have a look. Rather than measure, let's do that. There we go. And then what I'm going to do now is fold these in half. And then bring those back out from the centre of each side, like so. Oops, my phone has dropped. Sorry about that, everybody. Everything's on the wonk. Oops. Sorry about that, everybody. I didn't realise that my phone had slipped and I inadvertently switched it off. So do forgive me for that. But you haven't missed anything. I'm just folding these in half. And then folding them back out, so we've got 4 pieces. And I haven't even cut the white bits off these because they're not really going to be seen. And it's, you know, just to make you a nice, quick and easy project. And I don't know about you, but I have limited space to store things, so having little ephemera pockets is really handy. To put things in, and it's nice that you've made them yourself and you're not using plastic containers, etc. So that's my 4 little gussets, and they'll have to be shortened because obviously I've not measured to the top there, so we can put those alongside here on the inside to make it easier to cut them to size. There we go, and we'll just snip it off just slightly behind the edge, and I can use that as a guideline for this one. There we go. Now I'm going to put this one to one side because I haven't put a lining in the back of that one yet. I need to print another sheet off. So they were the ones I cut, weren't they? Yeah, so I'll put those with that little folio, and I'll cut this one. There we go. And same again, we'll use this as a guide template. There we are. Now then, this is the time if you want to sew round your outside for more effect, you can do that. But my little mini sewing machine has died, and I've got an embroidery sewing machine, but I don't really like to use it on paper. I have done a couple of times, but I'm frightened I'm going to ruin it. So I'm not going to sew around any edges on this particular project. But what I'm going to do now is glue these to the inside. Now, so that when you see your journal pocket open, I'm going to have the pattern on the outside to finish it off rather than it be plain white, because you're going to be putting things inside. I'm not too fussed about this being plain. I mean, you can use your inks on it, you know, if you want to distress it a little bit to hide it, but I quite like it the colour it is on this particular project. So I'm not going to colour it. So we shall pop that on there. And I'm just pushing them slightly in so they're not protruding on the outside. Let's have a look. So I don't know if you can see that. It's almost up to the edge, just a hair's breadth away. And we'll do the same with this one. So I'm just going to turn it round. I don't know, I can see better this side. I think it must be the lighting. So just a tiny bit away from the edge. Let's have a look close up, a little bit more. And press them down. Now what I thought, I wondered if they would reach. And if I hadn't cut them out, I mean no, I wouldn't risk it really, because it's just a 1/16 of an inch on each side. I'd want them to be a bit more robust than that. So I'm not going to use those, but you can do, you could, when you cut them out, just leave yourself a little tab on each side so that it would fit. I could add tabs to them, I suppose, and doctor them a little bit, but no, I won't on this occasion. We'll just make this one a straightforward, and my glue has puddled out. It's got a mind of its own when it's in this heat, even though I hardly squeeze the bottle. There we go. And we'll pop a bit on here as well. I did water it down. Well, not water it, I did put some acetone in it to thin it down because it had gone as thick as anything. So if you use Beacon 3-in-1 or Fab-O-Tac and it gets really thick, just get some industrial acetone, and you can then put a few drops in, and it will help thin it down, so it makes it more manageable to use. Excuse me 1 second, I've got glue everywhere now, so everything's sticking to me in the table everywhere rather than where it's supposed to be. Oh dear, always on camera, eh? There we go. So that looks nicely finished, doesn't it, with a little gusset there, and it means you've got a bit of extra room in your pocket. And obviously if you want to make it deeper, just make these pieces of paper bigger and have more folds in them, so that way it'll come out a bit more. And I made a boob on there. Let me see if I can alter that really quickly. Yes, I can. Thank you. I've put the, oh no, that one's okay. I've made a boob on this one. I've put the print on the outside. Let's see if I can rectify that. Yep, I think we're okay. Luckily, with it being warm, the there we are. With it being warm, the glue hadn't, and with me thinning the glue down as well, it hadn't set, but I'll need to put a bit of a refresh on there and on there. That needs to be on the outside, Wendy. Almost put it back in the same way. So we'll push that down. There we go, that's better. And fold that in. Lovely. Phew, that was good. There we are. So all we need to do now is put a button or something on here. Now there's lots of buttons in this kit, and let's have a look what we've got. We've got a nice rose button there, which should be good. Or you could even use one like that. So what do you think, folks? I quite like that one actually. I think I'm going to go for that one. So I'm just going to get my punch and see whether it is the right size for that. Oh, near as damn it. Yeah, I think a little bit of ink will hide that. And then what I want to do now is get some spare card. So I'm going to go to my scrap box and punch a few. Let's go down from this end. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And this is to give the button some strength. And it's a good way of using up your scraps. And I think I'm going to do one more. Let me just feel the thickness of it. Yeah, I think I'll do one more. One more layer. Pop that in there. And then we'll pop this on top. That's better. So it makes it nice and substantial. There we go. I'm just going to put my lids on my glue. And I've got a little awl here somewhere. But before I do that, because it's not quite dry, we'll just ink around the edges as well. Slip him a little bit. There we go. Oh, I've got glue all over my fingers. Just bear with 1 minute. That's better. Now then, what I need to do now is get my ruler and I need to round off my corners. Now you can do fancy corners if you wish, whereby if you want to make a complete curve round there, you know, you can use you know, the corner of the bottle, so it gives you a wider edge to come round, but you'd need to fit it right in, or on a plate. I haven't got anything that's bigger really for me to do like a, show you to do like a template, but you could you know, use a or a jar maybe. Let's have a look at this jar. You know, it gives you a wider corner to come round, but I'm just going to use my corner rounder here, and I'm going to go for the largest one, and it just is the nice size, I think, for this. And I'm not going to ink with that ink there, because as I say, I wanted to keep the whiteness on this, but obviously if you like to ink your edges, then do feel free to do that. And then I'm going to put my button on there like so, but first I want to find the centre, so I'm going to lie that down and get my ruler, and it says 21, so that's 10.5. So let's have a look. We've got 10.5. So if that's the centre, I'm going to go put the 10.5 line sort of running through the middle of these here, and then I'm going to make a hole in there. That's one, and then I'm going to make a hole in the other one there. And then do the same for all four. That's it. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my my needle, and I've got my needles that I use to sew my signatures in. If I can find the right one I like. I tend to use the blunt-ended one. Where is it? Oh, it's hiding away at the bottom left. Right. Just pick one, Wendy. That's too small. There we go. Right, and I'll just get my thread. And I'm using wax thread for this. You can use embroidery threads if you wish. So what I'm going to do is, oops, come up there, go through the first hole, and then I'm going to do like a cross stitch in the middle. I come down to, wait a minute, that one hasn't, let's have a look, where are we? So we'll start off in here, go down that bottom one, and then I'm going to go up to the top one there. And then we'll go across to there, into the next one, and down into that corner. And once they're aligned, you're away then. So I'm going to do it twice, just to make sure that we are nice and strong. Two, three, and four, and then I'm going to tie it off at the back here by making a nice knot. There we go. And then to hide the workings at the back, I'm going to use my punch to punch a hole out of this. And then use some Beacon 3-in-1. Now it's not matching perfectly, but it does take the eye away from the holes. So there you have a nice little folio, and we'll find a nice pink ribbon, shall we? What have I got? Oh, now that's perfect, isn't it? But it's whether it goes round the whole of the folio. I don't think it will. In which case, and it's a bit thick. It's a bit wide, I think. Let's have a look. Let's see if it, oh, it would go round. If I can tie a little knot there. Let's have a look. Just make it nice and skinny. And then I'm going to hold on to this end and feed it through there. And try and tie it a second time, if I can hold on to that end there. Bring that through. Hold on, get myself in knots. And then we'll just neaten this end here by cutting it like so, and then I'm going to get my and just gently, that just stops the ends from fraying. And we'll do the same to this end here. There we go. And then what can I put in here? Have I got a little something I could put in? But that will wrap round. And then you can come around the button. Oops-a-daisy. Excuse me. There we go. So you've got a nice, and this will harden off once the glue dries. It's still a bit damp at the moment. But you've got a nice little folio there to keep your ephemera in. And then we can decorate it by, you know, you've got these little pieces of ephemera, so you can let's have a look. You could make a little snippet to go on the front with maybe this cotton reel, or a little envelope there. What about this? So you could, you know, decorate it with some of your ephemera, or down there maybe, and or even your, let's have a look, what else have we got? No, that would be nice. Just bear with me one sec, ladies and gents. I do like these little embroidery hoops. So yeah, we've had a, as I say earlier on, we've had a roasting week, and been living on top of the fan, and we had a family get together on Saturday night, which was nice. The children and grandchildren came over. What else could you have? I'm just thinking about this. I do like this, you know, but there's lots of choice in the kit. As I say, there's lots of pieces of ephemera, and what you could do with this cotton reel is actually put some threads round it, you know, real threads, and then stick it on the front, which I've done in some of my other sewing journals. Yeah, I quite like that one, I think. So you could stay with the pinks and have something like that going across the front. Across the front there. What do you think? Or you could have it on the underneath side here. you know, on the underneath your flap, and put some lace around it. Now what I was going to suggest on the back here was pop some lace across there. So I'm just going to see if I've got something. Bear with. I found these lovely little pink machine lace flowers there, and the pink goes with the folio perfectly, so I'm going to use those. So let's have a look. I'm going to have to maybe go over the edge because I don't want to have half a flower. So we'll pop some flowers down, sorry, pop some glue along the back there. And I'm just going to cut off that little thread. And which is the right way and which is the wrong way? I think that's the wrong side. So how pretty is that? I don't mind that the flowers are poking over the edge there. That just finishes the back off nicely. And you've got a lovely folio to put your ephemera bits in. And I mean, this is quite big enough for you to put envelopes inside, you know, so that you can separate your pieces. Or, you know, make yourself a little sewing journal and pop that inside as well. So shall I pop that on there? I just need to get my Distress Oxide, I think, on that a little bit. There we are. Just to get the white off that. And same on this. And I'm using Victoria Velvet on there, which is a pink one. Yeah, I think it does need a little something, but I would have liked to put some lace or something behind. Hang on one sec, I might have a bit of tulle. I do like to use my tulle. But I'm not going to distress it with my ink. I'm going to keep it white. And scrunch it up on there a little bit. And then we'll pop this on. Sorry, this was going to be two, watching me make two little folios, but the process is exactly the same. So rather than make it a really lengthy video, I'll stop it after this one's completed, because it's straightforward doing the other one. You just follow the same process. There we go. Try and get that out of the way. Just pull the Let's have a look. Yeah. Try not to let it interfere with that. And get my little tape measure. There we are. There we are, everybody. I don't think I've got a little journal. Just bear with 1 second. So this is for demonstration purposes only. I've got a little journal that I made in the spring, and I think it'll fit perfectly in here. And it's got plenty of place for your ribbon. And there we go. And it looks super duper with a journal in it, because it was looking a bit empty a few minutes ago. Excuse me 1 sec while I just feed the ribbon round. And there we are, everybody. So I hope that you like that little demo, and I'm quite pleased with how she has turned out, you know, with that unusual like watercolory paper with the bold flowers as the background, and they blend together beautifully. So that's it for this evening, and I do hope that you will go along to Suzanne's Ko-fi shop and have a browse at her lovely kits. And this is the latest one, and as I say, it's beautiful. And she has brought out some freebies, so if you go over to Suzanne's Facebook page, she's at the beginning of last week and this week, she's released 2 freebie kits that complement well, they go with the kit, so you've got extras. And yeah, you'll be able to build yourself a journal and a little folio that's included in the kit. So sorry about the shadows, everybody. I forgot to switch the overhead light off, so you've probably not seen the best of the journal. The light in here is not very good anyway, and yeah, I quite like how she's turned out. So I hope that you will join me in the next video. I'm not sure what I'm going to be making, but I'll try and do something with this beautiful kit, so that I can show off some more of the ephemera and try and make a nice little quick project for you. So until then, stay safe, everybody, and I'll say bye for now. Bye.